I want to believe in my team. I really do. I'll have no problem admitting I was wrong if things turn out to be alright. But the odds of that happening, pretty goddamn slim at this point. I thought I'd get at least one more month until the entry draft to be able to avoid the Bruins doing something stupid, and then today, they signed Kevan Miller to a 4-year extension at a $2.5 million average. No disrespect to Kevan Miller. I'm sure he's a great person, probably a great guy to have in your locker room, but numbers are numbers, facts are facts, and how anybody can see this as a great deal is beyond me, and the fact that you have people quoting like, oh, his plus minus has really improved though, is fucking insane. Of course, in management's eyes, this is probably a steal, and who knows, maybe he'll turn the page and this will become one of the best contracts in the NHL within the next 2 years, but the odds of that happening, I think we all know what I'm about to say. Yes, throughout this past season, Kevan Miller was played out of role when he is simply a bottom pairing guy, but was being played with Chara on the top pairing. And as far as being a third pairing guy goes, I'm sure he can succeed in that role, but the problem is he is now just another guy that we have that suits that role. Look at the defensemen on this team. Hell, we'll break it down. You have Chara, ideally a second pairing defenseman at this stage in his career, but he is still the best the Bruins have got. Same with Dennis Seidenberg, ideally second, maybe even a third pairing guy. Injuries and age catching up to him, as well as Chara, both men, loyal soldiers for this team, but business is business, and to have them locked up for 2 more years with the injuries and the punishment they have taken over their career, you've failed as a general manager and as a team to have those contracts. Will Seidenberg be traded as his no movement clause expires in December? Who the hell knows? John Michael Lyles, will he be resigned? If he is a third pairing defenseman at best, so that's at least one. Torrey Krug, will he be resigned? Second pairing if we do, although some would argue, and I'm not going to say they're wrong, that he is ideally a third pairing guy who can be a power play juggernaut. Adam McQuaid, third pairing, that's at least 2, and if anything, he's a clone of Kevan Miller. Joe Morrow, if he's resigned, third pairing. Kevan Miller, third pairing. Zach Trotman, third pairing. Colin Miller, ideally, he'll grow into a second pairing guy, and I think he has the potential to do that, but at the moment, third pairing. Hell, look at guys in Providence, in fairness, most of whom I'm about to mention are unrestricted free agents at the moment, but at best, Tommy Cross, Chris Breen, Chris Casto, Matt Irwin, Linus Arneson, all third pairing at best. I said in my Bruins end of season video that there is only one thing worse than Peter Chiarelli running your team, and that is the guy who went to his learning tree. I said in that video, and I'll say it now, I respect Cam Neely nearly more than anybody on this planet, but this deal, you cannot convince me at this point that PC isn't some sort of succubus that has cloned himself and taken over Cam Neely's soul, because this Miller signing is the stereotypical Peter Chiarelli signing. We all know how much he loved to give out bloated contracts with outrageous term, and it's happened again. I have hope it'll all turn out, but as the days go by, I'm starting to wonder how soon I'll end up in a mental institution banging my head against the walls, all while believing in my own mind that I'm not watching the Bruins completely fuck themselves out of potential championships. With this team, it's not even 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's 1 step forward and a generational step back. As haunted as some teams are by certain events, you had the Flyers in 2010 with the Cup Final, the Leafs in 2013 with 4-1, the Buffalo Sabres in 1999. I wouldn't wish these past 4 years on anybody, and I know, I get it. I've seen a Cup win. I should absolutely shut my face. But ignoring everything for a second that happened with the Bruins between 1973 and 2010, and the ridiculous amount of disappointment and heartbreak that came with those years, let's talk about the last 5 years, shall we? 2011, the dream comes true. In a way, we have a model franchise. The term Boston model is actually used frequently, and it's the dream of the Vancouver management, which, trust me, in a way, I'd rather be a Canucks fan right now because of some of the prospects they have, and I still don't get how Jim Benning went from a decent Bruins front office member to what he is now. Sorry for that, Vancouver fans. I'll stop beating that dead horse. 2012, the Bruins, as defending champions, get kicked out in the first round as the second seed by the Washington Capitals and some unknown goalie named Braden Holtby. 2013, 17 seconds. 2014, the hangover begins from going all out to win it the year before, and the mismanagement finally catches up. The front office doesn't know what to do, so they trade Seguin and Boychuk before the start of the season. They let Jerome McGinley go, and in 2015, more of the same as the team continues to fall, and of course have missed the playoffs in the last 2 years. These last 4 years, I wouldn't wish on any other fan base. I'll say it again. The worst thing as a sports fan is to have hope and to have it ripped away from you. Ask Toronto, ask Cleveland, ask Buffalo, and again, yes, I know Boston sports have won so many titles, and I apparently I can't talk about true disappointment at this point because I don't know what that is anymore, and blah, blah, blah. To win a cup, to have Patrice Bergeron, Tyler Seguin, Dougie Hamilton, Tuukka Rask, Milan Lucic, Johnny Boychuk, David Krejci, Brad Marchand, to have that as a core, anybody in the league would expect that team to compete over a long time span. Maybe not become a dynasty, but if managed properly, who the hell knows? But instead, at this point, what do we have as Bruins fans? Well, we have Brett Connolly and 2 less second-round picks because of it. They might keep John Michael Lyles, but they have no third-rounder this year. Lovely trade, by the way. Lee Stempniak might stay. You know, the guy who they could have signed out of training camp decided not to. He signs with the Devils, and then you give the Devils a second-rounder in 2017. Absolute fucking morons. Speaking of 2017, though, in the draft, no third-rounder because of Zach Ronaldo. I've mentioned Seidenberg and his contract, the McQuaid contract, which in fairness might not still be horrendous. I place it more at the atrocious level on the scale. To see this team throw a potential dynasty in the trash is horrifying, and while there have been some decent deals, and screw it, we'll go over them. Dougie Hamilton, good return. It never should have gotten to the point where you were in a position to trade him. Milan Lucic, great return. I will give you that. The Lucic and then inevitably the Martin Jones return was fucking awesome. But Zach Ronaldo, that's all I'm going to say. The Riley Smith and Mark Savard deal for Jimmy Hayes, good deal. It got Savard off the books. But with the contract you gave Hayes and Riley's performance this year, which granted, Riley Smith wouldn't have performed the same way with the Bruins, but just yikes. The Stempniak and Lyles deals, horrendous. The Boychuk deal, Jesus Christ. The Connolly deal. Stephen King wishes he could write a more terrifying tale than that Brett Connolly trade. And the Seguin trade. I'll just let that hang there for a second. All of this in 4 years. We're not even going back to some of the atrocities before that, with even more horrible trades, horrible signings, and playoff disappointments. But at the end of the day, am I excited for the draft? Am I excited for the offseason and the 2016-17 season in general? Of course I am, because I'm a Bruins fan whose mental health is rapidly deteriorating.